everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jasmine. So today we've got another franchise zoo episode here in Lakefield Zoo, and as you can probably see out this doorway, it is snowing quite heavily in the zoo, and so I've just come inside with our two little binturong because we built this enclosure for them last episode. So this is their little indoor section, and it's one of the only sections of their habitat that's actually the right temperature for them. I also just noticed that I think although they're able to access some of this indoor section, they're actually not able to get on all of it, and they're kind of stuck in these two little sections here. Annoyingly, I don't actually think that they can use this, so I might just edit that and then let you know when I've sorted it out. Okay, so I've made a few changes. I've turned this section by the window into a climbable object instead of that set of plaster pieces, and they can climb on it. It doesn't look like they can go on top of it for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. It might be because I've got the bedding too high up. Okay, well it looks like that's the best that I can do for the time being. So they can get up here. They can't use the bedding for whatever reason. I'm not quite sure why. And they can walk around in here a little bit more than they could, which is good, which means they're not stuck. And it looks like the guests are currently enjoying viewing them as well from this little indoor viewing section. So that's really good that they're actually using it. I was a bit dubious as to whether or not guests would actually come up here to have a look, but they are, so that's really positive. Okay, and it looks like after all of that, the snow has stopped, which is really good. We just got a notification to say that our giant anteater is about to mature, so I think she's actually the only one in there because we lost her parents last episode, so we might have to get her a breeding pair this episode. And then we also got a notification to say that we got some new baby babiruses, which is really good. So we should put them on contraceptives, and it looks like one of them is also a gold, so that's really exciting. So maybe we could breed with him in the future. There we go. Then I also wanted to check our PFAR because I'm not sure if we've got all of our babies on contraceptives. Yes, so we've got some infants here, and I will just put all of them on contraceptives. Okay, so I don't see why we can't have a look for I think it's a male we need, male giant anteater. Yes, we've only got one, our girl Pearl, so take her off contraceptives. There aren't any particularly great quality ones actually. This one's probably the best. Let's adopt him. Let's put him in the quarantine. Okay, so this is what we did last episode in case you missed it. We obviously created our binturong habitat. We saw the indoors area earlier for that. But this episode, I want to redo some of the sun bear enclosure, particularly their enrichment, make it look a little bit more suitable for bears. And then I want to do the restaurant over here because, yeah, it's definitely a bit of a mess. And we've left these food and drink stalls undecorated for way too long. So we might end up having to sort of extend further out into this enclosure, which is fine because currently it is quite large, so I don't mind that. So we'll do that in a minute, but first I want to just take a look at our finances and check that everything's okay. We are getting some refunds, but they have reduced drastically since we last checked, and I think that's because I've reduced the price, and I also got that drinks shop. So oh yeah, our thirst need is going up again, which I cannot believe is the case. Is it because we just need more staff? So this one's not got staff, so maybe we could just hire a new vendor. I mean, it looks like their workload is pretty efficient. Let's train these ones up, and I'll just get another one, why not? So yeah, add to work zone there. Hopefully that'll fix it. If not, we'll just have to get more drinks shops, I suppose. Okay, I also wanted to have a look at education and check these animal talk points are working, because we assigned specific tasks for our educators, didn't we? So we've got some animal talks, look like they're working, but still, yeah, we're missing the actual talks. Yeah, maybe we should wait a little bit longer for that to come into effect. We do need to do more education on the binturong though. Let me just check our vet research and how that's getting along. Oh, we've completed some for the otters, that's good. Oh, well, we've nearly done the bear's tapirs, so yeah, I'm happy for them to finish before we move on to the binturong. How does this advanced research work? Is it just ongoing, or is it just like a boost? So if you have someone doing advanced research at the same time as other research, then it just helps things move along quicker. Let me know down in the comments how that works if you know. Oh, our quarantine is complete. I don't know why it's not notified me then if that's the case. Hang on. Oh, and we've just finished the bears tapir. That's great. So I will get the other researcher on the Bintrong. Perfect. Yeah, it looks like it's complete. So I'll put him in his new home then, I suppose. There we go. Oh, is this not part of a work zone? That is why no one is there. So yeah, I've just added that to a work zone now. And oh my goodness, we've had more cassowary babies again. We've only just had triplets. Oh, it's about to have offspring. So we've got 3 and it's about to have more. Goodness, we're going to have another peafowl situation on our hands. We've never had this problem with cassowaries before, have we? They've had terrible fertilities up until now. Oh wow, it looks like we've got so many. How many have they had? Let's have a look. We've had another 3 offspring, but that's great because some of them are gold. So I'm quite keen to get as many gold animals as possible and to breed. And I was thinking, someone commented down below that we would make more money if we traded them on the market rather than releasing them to the wild. And I don't want to trade all of them on the market. I would quite like to release some of them to the wild for the sake of conservation. But I was thinking maybe we could trade the ones that we need to get rid of that you guys have named, and I could put them on at a reasonable price, and then you would have the opportunity to buy the ones that we feel more attached to in the zoo. I thought that might be a nice idea. So let me know what you think of that down in the comments below. And then I want to start building, but I want to wait until it finishes raining first. Oh, I'll tell you what I do need to do actually. Flower is our alpha female, and she is not breeding because she's on contraception, but she's related to our breeding male. So what I'm gonna do is, I know we bought Carol, but I'm gonna put Carol on contraceptives because they can have quite a lot of them in a pack, can't they? So I'm gonna put Carol on contraceptives as well as him, who was our breeding male. And because Flower is gold anyway, I'll take her off and then I will purchase another male meerkat for Flower to breed with. How about this one? So yeah, let's put him in the quarantine. It looks like the sun is now about to come out. So how about I pause it there, do some building, and then I will catch back up with you in real time once we are done. Okay, so we are in build mode and I start out by making a custom fence for the binturongs. I ended up using the backs of windows for the anti-climbing barriers at the top of the fence, which is unusual, but the size and the shape worked out better than anything else that I found in game. So I just went with it, and someone asked me in a comment in one of my previous videos for this series to upload the fences that I use around this zoo. So I think I'll end up doing that soon. I haven't done it yet, but when I do, I might link it in this video description, or I might link it in the zoo entrance video description. I haven't decided yet, but if you're interested, then have a look there to go and download it, or just go straight to my Steam workshop. I'll also try and add several blueprints in this video description anyway. I think I'll add some individual blueprints for the Sun Bear climbing enrichment items, because we end up doing that this episode, as well as the full finished restaurant blueprint, because we get that done as well this episode. Possibly also an enclosure blueprint, but I might wait until I finish the other half of the Sun Bear's indoor enclosure building before I upload that, so I'm not sure yet if that'll be there. And as always, if I use any blueprints from other people on the Steam workshop, then I will include those links in the video description as well. I also recently got a request to upload the entire zoo so far as it is onto the Steam workshop, and I didn't originally want to do this because I thought that I should only upload it once the zoo is finished, and I didn't want to keep uploading different unfinished versions of it. But I think if I did it once whilst the zoo is still unfinished, it might be nice for people to be able to use and play in what we've already got in this zoo and enjoy expanding the zoo themselves and creating their own version of it. So let me know what your preference is about that idea. Would you like me to upload the unfinished zoo at all? And if so, when? Do you have any preferences as to whether you'd like me to finish any builds off before I do so? I had the idea to do it just after we finish the restaurant, because then that'll sort of finish off this entrance section of the zoo, because at the minute it's a bit of a gap up, isn't it? But if I do upload an unfinished version, then I will only do it the one time, and then I'll wait until I finish the zoo before I upload it again. So yeah, let me know if you have any preferences about that down below. And then the next thing I focus on in this speed build is designing some more realistic sun bear enrichment items, like I mentioned. So we did have some custom enrichment items for the sun bears already, but I got a few comments saying that they didn't look suitable for bears, and I agreed with those as well. Although of all the bears we've got in game, some bears are the best climbers and they can climb things that other bears can't, and they may have been able to climb those structures, but still what I had in game didn't look like sun bear climbing enrichment that I'd seen in real zoos in the UK before. So I switched it up and I did a bit of research, looked at a lot of inspiration pictures, and what I ended up with I think I'm much more happy with in the end. So I start out building in their indoor enclosure section, and I try to add a variety of different log sizes and colours to the enrichment items just to make it a little bit more realistic and interesting as well. And on the indoor section I also end up adding in a custom rope hammock that was actually part of our old enrichment set for them, because I really liked it and I think they would also enjoy something like that too. It's not usable in the same way that their actual enrichment hammock is obviously, but they can climb on it I think, so I included it anyway. And I also tried to create a raised platform for them to climb up to sleep on using the plaster pieces, but then when I checked their traversable area, they could get up there via climbing on the logs, but they couldn't actually walk around on that platform because there wasn't enough room. I don't think. I think they have to be able to do a full 360 circle with the length of their body has to fit in that area, and it obviously couldn't. So I might go and fix that later on in the episode, but yeah, for now it just doesn't work at the minute. And then in terms of the enrichment, I'm really happy with the effect of the metal bolt pieces that I used. So I added one wherever a log joins to another log, and I thought that was quite a neat trick to make it look realistic. And then I also add several metal bolt pieces to the grounds where logs sort of join into the ground just to make it a little bit more stable, especially indoors. But then I also added those to the outdoor section when I create the enrichment items outside, and I'm not entirely sure if that's realistic or not, because I think it might make more sense if the logs look like they've just been pushed, or the ground has been dug up and the poles have been pushed in there to keep them up. I'm not quite sure which I prefer, so let me know down in the comments what you think, and I could always go back and change it later. But then after sorting out all of the interior enrichment items, I move on to making the restaurant building. I did that first because I wanted to know what the finished shape of the enclosure would look like before I then went to do the outdoor enrichment space for the sun bears, and I expected that the restaurant would either make the enclosure bigger or smaller depending on how it turned out, because I didn't have a proper plan for what the restaurant would look like yet. So I will return to the outdoor section to redo some enrichment out there later on in this episode, but first I do the restaurant. And this was my first ever use of that actual restaurant item in Planet Zoo. I wasn't originally planning on using the item. I was going to use a combination of several of the different food stall counters instead. We do have those blank lone counters as opposed to the shop boxes or whatever they are, but I think what swayed me in the end was the fact that I wanted to use the functional restaurant table and chair pieces, which can only be used with the restaurant feature itself. That, and the fact that I managed to plan a decent floor plan which worked well with the restaurant in my head, and it just ended up taking up less space than that. Although I will say that the restaurant item has a very annoying design and layout, and just in general the majority of restaurants in real life zoos are much more open plan than the restaurant object forces you to be. It sort of makes you integrate this annoying tunnel for people to walk through before they order their food, and then they sort of disappear at the end of the tunnel and reappear on one of your selected tables. But this layout just doesn't really suit many realistic restaurants in my opinion. Yeah, just that tunnel doesn't work in a lot of builds that I could imagine, or designs that I would like to see. So in the future I think I'd like to see the same objects just without the walls or ceilings on that tunnel section, so that you can just slot in the kitchen and the counter with the same restaurant function wherever you like in the build. But oh well, I think it works anyway within this build, so I'm not complaining. I'm happy with the result. And although I struggled thinking of the design to begin with, and I also kept changing the build as I went along, I am happy with how it turned out. So you'll see a version of it with round walls, for example, which I liked, but I didn't think it suited the location of the restaurant within the context of the rest of the zoo. So in the end we ended up changing that, and I went with a more simple design. It looks possibly more samey throughout the rest of the zoo, but I also tried to integrate the colours that we used in the sun bear indoor buildings, so that yellow and that green, because I wanted them to look like they were referencing each other, so that they were a pair of buildings that were obviously in the same space. But I did try to vary it by using green plaster in the restaurant instead of the green wood pieces, and then I used some painted brick pieces, which I haven't used so far in the suit at all, which is nice. And then I also went back and I changed the colour of the yellow plaster wall on the Sun Bear staff building exterior, but I think I did it off camera because I just wanted there to be some variation still, and it was looking a little bit too samey with the same colour schemes, but I think it works in the end. And I'm also really happy with how the terrace area turned out on the restaurant. So I used a reference picture for the design of the roofing for the section, and I think the picture I used was of a Starbucks restaurant which had the same sort of layered roof design with a glass roof on top and then a lower layer with wooden design, which looks really pretty. And then in the restaurant itself I included some ATMs, a set of toilets for the guest, a drinks vending machine and a staff room as well. And where you see the staff room in the speed build actually ends up causing some issues with the guests because it was too close to where they walk past when they were using the restaurant object. So I ended up just pushing it closer to the front of the building off camera just because there was a little bit of unused space there, and it didn't take me long to do, so I didn't film it. And then if any of you have any advice on how to manage restaurants within this game, then please do add them to the comments, because for example, I don't know how many staff I should use within one restaurant. We try something out, but obviously we don't sort of have enough time to sort of test the results in this episode, so let me know if you have any tried and tested methods that you want to share with me. But yeah, I don't know if the restaurant only registers the staff working at the counter, or does it register all of the staff within the kitchen as well? Also, should I change the prices on any of the food products that we sell within the restaurant, or are they automatically set to the optimum price settings? I'm also interested in how many food and drink stalls the restaurant is equivalent to. So before I added the restaurant, I think we had like 7 food and drink stalls, which seems like a lot to me considering the size of the zoo. But now that we've got a restaurant, will we then be able to reduce the number of food and drink stalls? Because in my head it would make sense that a restaurant would be the equivalent to like 3 or 4 small food and drink stalls, but it might only count as 1 because we've only got 1 person working at the counter. So if you have any tips relating to that there, then please let me know down in the comments below, like I said, because they are new to me. And then one thing I would like to change about the restaurant is just the flooring on the terrace area outside. So in the end I went with this recolorable stone floor piece that came with the South American DLC, but I'm not sure that they had quite the effect that I was after. I used the shiny roof tile pieces for the interior of the restaurant, which I think worked really well, especially for an interior. But then I think I need to research a couple of different ways of creating a custom tiled floor effect, especially for outdoor sections, because it needed something, but I don't know if what I did worked. I did have a look at the in-game tile pieces that we got with the African pack, and they're nice, but they were too small for what I had in mind. So this might be one for the future, something for me to research in the future. And I'm also going off the concrete pathing that we use throughout the zoo, just in general. I think it's because I saw a video of someone's build the other day and they had used a lot of custom flooring using plaster pieces throughout their zoo, and it looked so good and just neat and tidy, and they were able to change the colours and make sure that everything suited each other across the zoo. So now it's made me a little bit unhappy with my pathing, but oh well, I think it definitely works for the time being. And then for the sign outside, I ended up naming the restaurant the Rising Sun Cafe, and that is because I based the Sun Bear enclosure on one from Colchester Zoo, and they named the indoor enclosure section of their Sun Bear enclosure the House of the Rising Sun, and so I thought it was a nicer reference to that. And I also tried to make the exterior of the Sun Bear habitat look more like the one in Colchester Zoo by adding lots of the climbing enrichment structures that you saw me make earlier, and then by adding lots more rocks to the ground as well, because whenever I googled Sun Bear enclosures they always seem to have a load of fake rocks on the ground underneath all the climbing structures, and the one at Colchester did as well, so I thought it would be nice to replicate that. Although you'll see later on in the episode that when we get back into real time this does end up creating a few problems for the navigational terrain for the Sun Bears, so I don't know, I might end up going back off camera and making sure that the bears don't have any issues with this in the future. And then when I was doing the enrichment I ended up using the in-game hammock enrichment item and integrating it into their climbing enrichment structure, although I must say I'm not the biggest fan of the fake trees that are attached to this item, and I tried to hide them using the log pieces but it was way too hard and it didn't work, so I just kind of left them, and they don't look great, but I sort of added a few bits here and there and I think is an improvement at least. And then I created my own custom fake tire swing as well, which I really like. They can climb on it, all of the objects are climbable, so they do use it, but they don't use it as a swing. Obviously it's not a functional swing, but I think that'll be one of the things I upload in the enrichment blueprints that I mentioned earlier, so I'll have a link for that down in the description below. And then I end up switching out the moats that we used to to have in the first version of this enclosure for a small artificial pool off to the side of the restaurant for the bears to swim in. And this is because I wanted the bears to have a pool because they seem to enjoy swimming in their old enclosure, but also I thought it would be a good source of water for them. But when we get back into real time, I think the baby bear was having issues drinking from the pool, so I'm not sure if it's possible for them to use the pool to drink from. I might have to figure out a way of fixing that at some point. It might just be because the water's too shallow and they can't do the correct animation at that height, or it might be the ramp needs changing just for the baby. But they can all get into the pool, so it's not an issue about them being able to use it, it's just about them being able to drink from it. So yeah, like I say, I'll check that later on to make sure that that's all working nicely. But that's pretty much everything that I wanted to say about the build. So I did also notice in our game that 0% of our guest education score is coming from conservation education balls, which is odd because it was quite high previously, and I had a quick look off camera and I couldn't work out why that might be an issue. So if you notice anything odd when we get back into real time or have any ideas about why that might be the case, then let me know down in the comments. But it might just be that we've got loads more exciting types of education going on the zoo now because guests are using them. It is registering them as viewing the education, but yeah, it's just not picking it up as being a percentage of their education score overall. So it might just be that the guests don't really care much about that conservation education, but I'd still like to know how to improve it if possible. Maybe I just need to add some more across the zoo. And then I also thought you'd be interested to know that the other day I went to one of my local zoos called Amazona Zoo, which is a South American themed zoo, and there the tapirs have only just had a really tiny baby, and it was so cute and so tiny. I went because I follow all of my local zoos on social media because I love to know when they have baby animals, and so as soon as I saw that they'd had a baby tapir, I immediately decided to go. And it's actually a really nice zoo for a small zoo as well. So it has jaguars and mountain lions and an ocelot as well, and an American river otter and a tropical house and monkeys and capybaras as well, which reminded me of the Wetlands DLC. But I think actually my favourite, other than of course the baby tapir, were these really cute South American coaties, I think they were called, and they basically look like raccoons, but they kept doing these roly-polies in the same spot over and over again, and they were so funny. So I think they were probably my favourite, especially because I've been to that zoo a couple of times and I think that was the first time that I'd ever seen them properly. They've always been really shy before, especially at winter time, they don't really come out at all. But the other day for some reason they were super active and really hilarious, so I really enjoyed seeing them. And then before I go, I also wanted to mention that I was asked to do some initial testing for Astride, which is the open world horse game that I follow and support on Patreon, and that was super fun and super exciting. I enjoyed it so much, and they post a ton of regular updates and progress pictures in their Discord server as well, which I follow. So I've built up quite a lot of updates about the game to share with you, so I'll probably release a video for that very soon for anyone who follows Astride and is interested in seeing that on my channel. So I just thought I'd mention it for those of you who are interested. But anyway, that's everything that I wanted to say in this voiceover, and it looks like we're about to wrap up the speed build, so I will stop talking now and I will catch back up with you in real time. Okay, so we have finished building, and this is what the finished restaurant looks like. It's a little bit squished in here next to this Babirusa habitat, but I'm quite happy with how it turned out. So let's have a little peek inside. So if we go through these doors, over there we've got the restaurant, and I still need to set up the tables and chairs because I haven't done that properly yet. We've got a staff room through there, and I'll set up the work zones for this as well in a minute. And then on the other side we've got some ATMs. I put one of the drinks vending machines in there, and then we've also got some toilets through there, and I also put some of these speakers in and I've got music on them for the first time. So I've put the Southeast Asian playlist on there because I thought that would be quite relevant for the sun bears, which we can view if we come out here. I created this glass and wooden shelter area, and then we also did some of the sun bears climbing out here as well. So I tried to integrate this hammock, which is actually one of their enrichment items, although I couldn't do very much with these awkward looking fake logs. I think they've got access to it. They should be able to climb up it, and they can definitely like climb up here, and all of this climbing can work. I did have to remove some rocks since the footage that you would have seen. And then over here I created this tire swing. They can use it, but obviously it doesn't work as a swing. And then I also added this little artificial little pool for them to swim around in. It'll give them access to water as well, because I got rid of that moat that was around the restaurant as well. And I used this fencing that we created at the start of the speed build for the binturongs originally. That is designed to block any climbing, not that they would climb up the concrete anyway. It looks like they're all hanging out up here. We've got our little baby as well. Oh, she's going to take a nap. That's cute. I doubt that they'll... Oh, they might use some of the enrichment for us. Oh, he's just going to play with his toy. So yeah, this is what the finished enrichment looks like in the interior. And over here we added this net hammock. Over here they've got this area, which is supposed to be an area for them to come up and sleep. But they can access this lock, but they can't turn around fully on this ledge. It's not quite long enough, so they can't actually get up here. So I might just quickly have a go at extending it, and then if they still can't use it, then I'll just give up. Yeah, looks like they still can't get up there, so that's a shame. I might try and fix that at a later date, but not now. But yeah, that's their enclosure sorted finally. I know I said that I was going to do that ages ago. It definitely looks more like some bear habitats that I've seen in real zoos, so that's good. And the guests have got a really nice view of them as well from the restaurant, and they've got an educational speaker, and this one is just to pretend that that's where the sound is coming from, because the other one's hidden. Okay, so before we deal with some of the alerts that are coming up, I just wanted to go to the restaurant and then link tables. Then we just want to select all of these tables, confirm those. This is the first time I've ever used a proper functional restaurant in the game. If anyone has any tips for the prices, then please do add them to the comments down below. What I do want to do though is set up some work zones. So we've got one big vendors work zone. How about I create a work zone and I'll call it Rising Sun Cafe, because we might have more restaurants in the future. And then I'll select the restaurant itself, the staff room, and that's all we need, isn't it? Okay, so that's here now. So let me know down in the comments if you know roughly how many vendor staff we need to assign to a restaurant work zone. We've got one, and I'm going to train up the staff that haven't been trained up. I might just assign another one to it so that they can cover it, because I'm assuming it's the same as all of the shops in the... It's just counting the one person working at the till, and so if we have 2 workers per restaurant, then there'll be 1 person to cover whilst the other is on break. So hopefully 2 is enough, but let me know down in the comments, like I say, if it's not. Then work zones, yeah, we've got some toilets, so we're going to want to add them to the mechanics work zone. We're going to want the caretakers as well, so if we select this restaurant, then they'll clean up that restaurant hopefully, and this toilets as well. And if we go to the facilities, I should probably start naming all of these actually. We want it checked every 6 months. Then if we go back to work zones, I just want to check whether we have one for this cafe section over here. I don't think we do, so I'm going to add them, and this is the staff room, and I've just called it Otter Cafe because it's near the 2 otter enclosures. Then if we go to vendors staff, maybe if we have 3 and then they can switch out Otter Cafe. We have 19 in total. Then I think I'm going to get a staff room over here. Then create a new work zone for all of these, and that one over there, that's annoying. And we'll just call it extra food, and this is going to be a temporary one. And then what I want to do is create some gift shops over here. These are going to be temporary too. So if I have one of these shops of balloons maybe, and then we've got room for another, but I won't add it just yet. I won't decorate it at all just yet, but I will create a work zone for all of the shops and information centres. I think that will be enough staff rooms. And then how many are we gonna need? We've got 5 shops that need manning in total at the entrance, so at least 5. Yeah, then we've got 11 staff left over. How many stalls we need manning? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's put at least 7 on the extra food. Okay, so I think I'll just assign these all to the food. There's 4 of these, which means we'll have 4 spare across 7. And then I will hire 3 more for this area, put them to entrance shops, and hopefully that'll be enough spare. I think it will be. There we go. And that means we can delete this one, vendor's entrance. So hopefully that works well. Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to do was just make sure that all of our animals are on grade 2 food quality if possible. And now they all are, so that's good. So then let's have a little look through all of our animals' welfare. I don't know why. Have they gotten themselves stuck somewhere? Oh, it looks like they have. Yeah, they're just stuck in there. That's going to be annoying if they can't access certain areas after climbing there. Yes, better now. Okay, Bader, what's wrong with him? Enrichment is low. Oh no. Okay, some of our cassowaries are starting to age up. He can definitely leave the zoo. How about we release to the wild? Oh no, it looks like the same thing has happened to these sun bears as well. Oh, it doesn't like the crowd. Oh, they can hide there. That's good. What I might do, oh no, fighting due to overcrowding. Let's get rid of some of these. Hang on. Now, oh no, Daisy. We were going to breed from Daisy, weren't we? So I'll put Daisy in the trade centre. Then this one we can release to wild. Then over here, I'll just sink down some of these do not disturb signs. Hopefully that will help. So that's that. Our babaroosas look fine. They all look okay, although their happiness is not the best because of enrichment, it looks like. Oh no, they've not got enough hard shelter. How's that even possible? Maybe it's because there's so many of them. But if that's the case, I might just get rid of 2 of them. This one's in the quarantine. Oh, is that our new one? Okay, so I'll get rid of one, release one to the wild. Might release another one as well. How about you? No, it's still low. Why is it so low? Well, they're okay otherwise, but I will go to the quarantine. The quarantine isn't showing animals that are in there anymore, so the only reason why I know it's in there is because of this. So I will have to send a trade centre, and then from here, send to zoo. Okay, but yeah, we'll do enrichment for all animals in a minute. We could get rid of some of these, I think. We've got 2 males and 1 female, so that sounds about all right. So release those to the wild. Oh, our binturong's about to mate. That's exciting. Okay, so we're not going to have any giant otter babies for a while, but that's okay. I think we might wait for some of them to get a bit older and then get a breeding pair because we've got loads of them, so I don't think we need to have any more babies. But yeah, our alpha male and female are both siblings. Got a breeding pair here. We need to get rid of some of these. Let's quick trade those. Same with these. And then because we've got a few turtles, I'll put 2 of them on contraceptives because they do breed a lot, don't they? I don't think we've got a breeding pair of capuchins anymore. This one's Frontier Zoo, so we could just take off one of our male adults because I think our breeding male just aged up. He must have done. So yeah, I'll just take off one of these young ones that we've bred, so they'll be fine. It looks like these 2 are our breeding pairs, and then everyone else is on contraceptives and they look fine. So that's good. Our binturongs look fine, although it's saying they've not got any hard shelter. We sorted that out at the start of the episode, didn't we? Why can they no longer get in there? Okay, it's working again now. I just had to extend this doorway a little bit. The tapirs all look fine, and then the otters are unhappy. Why are they unhappy? Oh, and this water is being annoying again. So if we just remove it and add it in again, that's fixed that. They need some more toy enrichment. Okay, well they're bored with that bubble blow, but that's the best I can do, I'm afraid. The cassowaries are bored of their enrichment. Okay, and they need some toy enrichment, so I could give them this mirror, and that's enough for them. Okay, and then we were having issues with this sun bear baby being able to get a drink. I'm guessing it's because she can't use the ramp that I set up. Oh no, she can. She can get a drink. Let's just move her over here. Oh! It looks like the sun bears are using their hammock. That's so exciting. Oh! I've never seen these animations before. They're so good. And the sun's coming out and everything. Oh, it's just started snowing. He's had enough. Right, okay, hang on. She doesn't want to get a drink. So what I will do, just put one of these taps here. Oh, and she's taking a drink, that's good. So why don't we come in here with the sun bears whilst we add some name suggestions. We have one for a capuchin monkey to be called Amber. So this one's not been named and it's probably one of the youngest. So we've called her Amber. We've got a suggestion for a female binturong, but we've already named her Star. So we'll wait until they have offspring to do that. We got a suggestion for any white animal to be called Casper, and we've got some more P-files. So how about we call one of them Casper, this boy here. And then we got some Asian short-clawed otter name suggestions. We did get one little boy and we've only got one name suggestion that was specifically for a boy, I think. So let's call him Peanut, which I love. I think that's such a cute name. And then whilst we were here, I noticed that we were getting some welfare issues, and I suspect that is because they are cold. Pretty sure they have heaters inside their indoor building. No, maybe they don't have heaters then. So let's add a couple. Let's put one there and then one over here. Oh, that's going up good. Okay, well, it stopped snowing now anyway. Oh, and our binturong has just had a baby. I was not expecting that. Oh, and it is a girl, so we could call her Fern because that was our name suggestion. So that's a lovely note for us to end this episode on. So let's have a little look at Fern. She's so cute. Okay, well, let's end the episode here. I really hope you liked it. We obviously finished off the restaurant and the sun bears too. So let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. As always, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye everyone.